Bitcoin's battle with the bull market support band. Can we get back above the infamous bull market support band? We know just how important it actually is. I mean, just take a look at the last time, the last couple times we had a big bull cycle. We had test, 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 test. I mean, you can see just how flawlessly it has held the price, right? So it is absolutely necessary to get back above the bull market support band. You can see back over here, we actually fell below it a little bit, but we hugged it pretty tightly and then we popped back above it. So now we kind of dropped below it, we came back above it, now we're back below it. So it's a little bit of an unusual situation here. So it really needs to get back above. You can see it's kind of, you know, rising here, and now it's kind of flattening out, right? So it's allowing the price to say, hey, you know, the bull market support band's flattening out, saying, look, catch up. I'm stable, right? So again, it's going to all come down to this level right about here. And basically, can we get back above that level? Basically, the decision is going to be met here. So this recent move we just had, is it a 5-wave impulse? Well, let's zoom in and see. So far, I mean, this is really it right here. This is like, you know, you have the bull market support band. So I'll just extend this down here like that. So we're like literally right there. I can take this off. Okay, so basically we need to get above that. And right now, this is it right here. So we have essentially 1, 2, 3. So we have an ABC. So what we need, and what I've been saying since down in here, is we're most likely going to come back and retest that yellow zone. But can we do it in 5 waves? That's going to be the big thing, right? So you could see 1, 2, 3. We're flagging out. Maybe this is a wave 4. Basically all Bitcoin needs to do is break out a little bit and get maybe towards 63K. Okay, if Bitcoin can get to about 63.5, 64K, then we're going to have a legit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5-wave move, okay? And that's going to get us back sort of into the bull market support band. So when I zoom out a little bit more, you can see now when I put that, this area here that we've been talking about, now we're back above it. That's what we want. Right now, we're actually, you know, we actually did pierce above it a little bit. So that was good. Actually, let me put that about right there. So that's gonna, because this is the breakdown level. This has been the major support level, right? I mean, you can see all the areas, how significant this area actually is. So at the end of the day, this is, like I've been saying, this is where the decision is going to be made, right in here. So, you know, as this thing was looking like a nice 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We started going down, thought about this as a flat potentially, but we kept going down, 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 down. And then we just free-falled, right? Obviously, it wasn't crypto's fault. It was the stock market having internal problems with liquidity or recession fears, right? Margin calls, things like that. So people were forced to sell crypto to cover their losses. But it's, you know, it's all about how it recovers, right? And basically saying, look, don't sell down here. Wait for it to retrace. So now we came back up and retraced it. And basically when you look at this wave, so you take it from the bottom all the way to the top, this whole wave right here, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut it in half. And that's what we said, right? And that's exactly where we're at now, right? And that's usually what happens. So now right? People can either get out, right? So the decision is going to be up or it's going to go down. So, you know, people who were waiting for a retrace, now they have a chance to sell, right? People are looking at a strong recovery. Now they're looking at, hey, maybe I want to get back in. So it's really between the battle of the bulls and the bears. And it's going to all come down to this point. I mean, again, you can see all these critical areas here. So what happens here is the inflection point. Really, this is what it all boils down to. So what happens here is literally going to change the course of Bitcoin's history, probably for at least the next 6 to 9 months, maybe even up to a year or two, right? Depending if we go down or up, because this is, you know, this is really at the crossroads of all crossroads, in my opinion, not financial advice. We could see either this is going to be A, B, C, and we got to come back down into reaccumulation, go sideways, right? You have a base, you have a base, you come down, you build another base on top of this base, right? You're back testing, you're building layers, you know, concrete or steel layers of support here, and you know, a platform to break out of. So that might take a long time, right? So basically you have an A, B, C, kind of like a running flat, and then we continue higher, right? So that's choice number one, which could, again, change the course of Bitcoin's path for up to 6 to 9 months. And then the other, obviously, is the bull case. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need 5. So hopefully we get that 5th wave. Hopefully we get an alt season in there. So there's you know, a couple different ways it can play here. Especially once people know who's the next president, I think that's going to have a significant impact on where this thing goes. So, and that's going to come right around November or so, right? So maybe we might hopefully stabilize in here, right? And again, on the small time frames, I'll go back to them, but we had 3 waves. So if we get a 4 and a 5, right, and then we kind of flag out in here a little bit, and we get, you know, closer to that election day, you know, because once people are convinced Trump's going to be president, I think that's going to spark a lot of momentum, because people are uncertain, right? You have one party saying, look, I want to ban crypto. I mean, I don't care what she says, but that's what they want, right? They're gonna pretend like that's not what they want, but once they get in office, that's what they do, right? Just look at Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler. They're all the same. They're all the same. They don't want, they're puppets by the central banks. They do the deep state bidding. The deep state does not want you becoming rich. They don't want you becoming independent. They don't want that, right? Yes, I know crypto is global, right? Crypto is going to be essentially unstoppable no matter what happens, but it's basically, it's not about, you know, over the course of however long. It's about what happens this year, this cycle, because this is where it counts, right? This is the 4th wave, and this is where it counts. So I think, you know, and then you have the other side saying, look, I want to have a Bitcoin reserve, a national stockpile, right? We're never going to sell. We're going to end the operation choke point to, you know, basically, you know, they're choking crypto. They're trying to purge it, right? So it's going to be a big factor in how this chart plays out. And usually October, November, December are usually the most bullish months anyway, right? Especially after Halloween. They call it the Halloween effect, right? The Halloween effect, you know, leads into, they say, a Santa Claus rally, right? So, you know, a lot of people are spending money. Usually the stock market does well because the earnings are a little bit better for holiday reasons, right? So, Anyways, so yeah, it's going to come down to right in here. So let's look again at the small time frames here, and I'll tell you exactly what I think I would like to see happen. Now, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but this is what I would like to see happen. So we're back here, which is very important. And now that we're here, I can actually extend it a little bit more up to about 64K. So when we zoom in here, really it comes down to, is this an impulse to the downside and a three-wave pullback, and now we're about to free fall to the downside, right? Because, for example, let me flip it upside down. You can see, right? Is this, we're impulsing to the upside, and now we have a three-wave pullback, right? We have a three-wave pullback. Now we're about to rock and roll, okay? But when I flip it back upside down, or right side up, I mean, this is not good. This means we're going to crash and burn, okay? And the only reason I can see that happening is because the stock market continues to sell off. Now, Trump had a press conference yesterday. He believes that it's going to get worse, right? And he's pretty accurate when it comes to markets, I've noticed. So that's a little bit concerning. But, I think the market's coming down, people understanding inflation. I think this is just all, like the Great Awakening. People are awakening to what's going on, right? So the worse things get, the more people wake up. The more people wake up, the more chance you have at real change, right? Real change. And it might take a major event, right? Remember, after 9/11, the country was actually a little bit, unified, and we were standing together because it took a major event, right? Or that quote from Ronald Reagan, who said, yeah, what if like an alien came down and landed on Earth and there was a threat or something? Look how the world would come together as a whole, right? So what if, the stock market collapse, cyber attack, deep state event occurs, right? And it really jolts and wakes everybody up saying, whoa, this is really, 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 really bad, like very bad. And that's when people say, okay, enough is enough. And I think that day is coming. I just hope that we can at least get a this fifth wave here. And I don't think it will take that long, right? I mean, if we can just extend it another, at least till maybe February, March, April of next year, or not even that, maybe even towards the end of the year, and we can get up here towards, hopefully 80, 100K, right? And then that's when everything goes into turmoil. I can see that happening, right? Because whatever happens in the stock market, it's going to affect the crypto market, right? So I'm just kind of giving you my thoughts, because it's really all about the chart, but there's actually much more going on politically. If this was a normal time, like if this was back in 2019 or 2017, right, or even after COVID of 2020, it would be kind of a normal time compared to where we are now. But so let me actually get back here, put this back on here. Okay, so it's going to come down to two things, and I already said the first one. So we have an impulse, we have a three-way pullback, we're going to continue down. And it might take a while. This might be like 3, and we might come back in another 3 and then come down, right? It could take some time. But what we all want is we have a 1, 2, 3. Maybe this comes out to 4. Maybe it's a complex 4, right? And then we go up into a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so once we get that fifth wave, right, then what we're going to want to see is an ABC pullback. And this ABC pullback could actually get us back below 60K, right? Depending how high this thing goes. So it could actually be a big retrace, because, you know, if this was wave one, or if this wasn't wave one, that means this hopefully has to be wave one, right? And that means a wave two, usually, you know, we're going to have to basically do all this over again and try it, right? Try it all over again, right? So once we get and have this ABC, you know, this 5-wave move, ABC, now we're going to have to start working a base here, start impulsing, pull back, you know, and then continue higher. And that's going to be really the inflection point right there. Is, you know, if we get this 5th wave, then the probabilities increase, right? That's why I say you don't have to know right now. We don't have to know. Like, people want to know, are we going down right in here? Well, usually you retrace, and once you retrace, like I said, you want to wait and see how it retraces. Does it move up correctively? Does it move up in 3? Does it move up in 5? You know, do we see any bullish patterns? Is it a bear flag? Whatever, right? So, you know, we get up here, right? And then we correct. So all we need is one more wave to the upside. That will drastically, again, increase the probabilities of this being a 5-wave move, an ABC, and then we want to see it, you know, once we get this wave up, we want to see it move back in 3. If we move impulsively like this, it's not going to look so good, right? So we want it to be kind of overlapping, basically flagging out here. So we want one more wave to the upside, and then we want to flag out. And then once we flag out in here, right, maybe we might create a shoulder, a head, a shoulder, right? We have a neckline here, we break out, we back test, and then we fly. That's exactly what I hope happens. Because this is the roadmap here. We need another wave. We need a pullback of some kind. It's not going to look exactly the way I draw it, but this is what we're looking for, something like this. You know, so, you know, if we get that, it's going to be really, really a good thing. If we come up, or if we start coming up and retracing, and we barely take out the high, it could be, you know, an ABC like this before we come up and hit that 5th wave. So we'll have to see how long this takes, right? So, you know, if this comes, what to look for is that, but then also on the bear side, what to look for is if this comes up, comes down, it comes back up, and then it gets rejected in here, and then it starts moving down, then it's still, you know, we still have a chance, because what it could be doing is creating maybe like a Wyckoff or some kind of base, right? We could be building a base in here where this kind of comes down, comes back up, comes back around, and then blast off, right? So you're basically ranging in here. So we could get something like that too. It's going to be more nail biting, but you know, it is what it is, right? So there's a lot of different things that could happen in here. That's why we're going to be monitoring it, checking it out, and making sure everything's okay here. So definitely hit that subscribe button, because you know, you're not going to want to miss it. This could be, obviously this is going to be make it or break it here, because we have the most amount of correction we need, right? So standard correction is an ABC. That's what we thought it was. I mean, there's no reason to not think it, because that's what the chart printed. But to come back up and then come back down, now we have a triple, right? Which means this has to be the low. We don't have any, if it comes back down again, right? Let's say it comes up and swoops down again, then it's just way, there's no count that can save it, right? So this was basically our last Hail Mary here. So when we look at the altcoins, right, like for example Zcash, and we zoom out here, this looks really, really good for a retracement. I mean, you can see, I wouldn't go out and buy it right now. I mean, you never know, this thing could break out massively, but you essentially had, you know, this three-wave move. So just imagine you have this up move, you have this three-wave pullback, right? And now you built a base down in here. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, all, you know, all this is 5, 6, and 7, and now you're starting to break out. So what does this have to do with Bitcoin? What this tells me that this specific chart is, we got to come back up here. So if Zcash looks like it needs to make its way back up here, not in a straight line, it could take another, you know, 3 to 6 months, really. I mean, it could pull back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull back, and now you're in December. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you're in April of next year, and so far you only have 3 waves. Then you need 4. Then you still need 5. But essentially, what it means is the overall direction is it should be going up, right? Zcash is a privacy coin like Monero, so you know, with the cyber attacks and data breaches, people seem to flock to privacy, right? But yeah, I did talk about it when we had that weird, like, Zcash didn't even dump. Like when we had that big dump in Bitcoin, I mean, it basically just went down just a little bit, but then bam, it came back very strong and it recovered. So, you know, most of the market came up and then came down, made another low, and now it's starting to come back up, while Zcash had a nice expanded flat here. So 1, expanded flat 2, right? The retracement was very, very tight. So usually you come down, but it was actually at the, it consolidated at the top, and now it's breaking out. So this is a very good sign. So you could say, well, who cares about Zcash? I don't care about Zcash. I don't care at all about Zcash. The reason I'm sharing it is because if this, you know, every chart tells a story, and the more stories, the more bullish stories we get, the higher probability we have for Bitcoin, you know, breaking out. So that's what we want to see. So let's keep moving on here. So when we look at THETA, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, you got plenty of waves down, right? And they're all sort of overlapping each other. So usually when you have a channel like this, you're gonna break to the upside, some kind of move like this, and then that is gonna decide up or down, right? So when we get back up here, so I'm expecting the price to get back to about $1.90 to $2.50, or between $1.90 and I would say, yeah, $2.50. So that's gonna be THETA's big moment. Now it might take a little bit of time for us to get back up there, right? So let's zoom in and see if we can see anything on the small time frames. Well, we don't have much. I mean, it really looks like a three-way move, honestly. So the dangerous part about this is this 1, 2, 3. We have a three-way pullback 4, and now we're going to get 5. It could be, right? Because I've always been skeptical of this wave here. It just looks like it needs 5, right? But if it's only 3, then this needs to turn into 5. So we'll see how that plays out. But so far it looks very, very three-wave-ish. You know, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have an ABC. And then it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get 5. And then we have 1, 2, or ABC, or 1, 2, 3. And then once we get back up here, hopefully we get back up here, flag out a little bit more, and then have another high. So we need a fourth wave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So theta isn't even done with the third wave yet, let alone hasn't gotten to the fourth wave. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take some work. Another thing that could happen here is, I mean, you know, when I zoom in to like the 20-minute, we actually got a look at that. We got a little bit of a break here. That's good. You know, it looks very like corrective, right? It looks like it needs to at least come up and have a retracement, or maybe even break out. It's kind of flagging out here. So it's developing a base. It looks pretty strong right now. So yeah, I want to see it pump to the upside. Now it is Friday, right? Saturday, Sunday, usually, I mean, honestly, the last couple weekends it's been pretty crazy. So we'll see how that affects crypto this weekend, but we're gonna need much more from theta, you know. But again, another thing that I was gonna say that could happen too is if it doesn't break to the upside, which I think it will. I mean, my honest thought is 1, 2, 3. We need a little bit higher, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I want to see it at least get up to about $1.30. I mean, that's kind of the goal here. If we can get to $1.30, it's going to really be a lot better. And then we can work on flagging out for the fourth and then the fifth. But that's what I would like to see happen, and that's what I think is a good possibility, considering Bitcoin. So, but another thing that could happen is if we kind of came up here, right, and finished it. So we have an ABC. We can come back down in an ABC. But if we start impulsing down, it ain't gonna look good, right? So, but if we have 3 up, and then we come 3 back down, right? And then you might maybe get, you know, some kind of Wyckoff pattern here, right? Where you're building a base, come back up, come back down, come back up, finish the creek in here, and then blast off. We could get something like that, right? Where we have kind of 3, 3, and then we go up in 5. So 3, 3, 5. So even if this you know, doesn't end in 5, it's still not over, because again, it could be what, building some kind of base in here. That's what we're going to want to see. So I think that's about it for theta. So the big thing is going to be getting above. You can see between these areas here and this area here, there's a gap between $1.60 or so to about $1.90, right? So you can see that gap in there. So the big thing is, if we can get back to that $1.63, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have an ABC, and then we start to pump up, right, and get back above this line. As soon as we break $1.63, I think it's a straight shot to $1.90. I think it'll be very fast, because again, there's not much trading here, right? It's kind of a straight up and then straight back down. So then once we break it, get to $1.90, then we pull back, fill in that gap, and then hopefully continue to rock and roll, get back into these deeper retracement areas up in here. Maybe flag out again, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have a longer consolidation, and then hopefully just freaking moon launch here. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. But yeah, technically, you know, Theta is still doing okay. I mean, it hasn't broken anything significant. It's still, you know, in the backtest zone. I mean, this is the most important zone right here, right? This is basically you break out, and now you're coming back down and you're back testing. So we have to stay above this area. We cannot break. As soon as we break and close below 95 cents, it's going to be very bad, because it's going to take so long for it to recover. It could take another year to recover, right? So, you know, hopefully we can fix this. And I think, you know, once Trump wins, which I very much believe he will, like I'm very, very confident he's going to win, 100%. There's no way he does. People want to give the impression that the country is divided. It's not divided. It's not divided. People say, oh, we're so divided. No, we're not. We're mostly on board. Like, everybody has the same problems, right? When you look at, I mean, people, you know, want a strong economy. They want low taxes. They want, you know, it's common sense. So the media wants you to believe that we're divided as a country when we're really not. You know, when you look at a Trump rally, you can pull in 50 to 100,000 people, right? You know, 25,000 people inside, 25,000. When you look at a Kamala rally, you only got about 1,000 or 2,000 people. And the only reason those people showed up is because there was a free concert, right? So nobody cares about them, right? They're super unpopular. Yeah, there's a lot of Trump haters out there. But that doesn't mean they're Kamala supporters, right? You know, and that's just, there's more Trump haters than there are Kamala supporters, which is very sad. So it was a landslide in 2020. He won by a lot. I mean, he totally won, but they stole it. But I think he wanted them to steal it. And you say, that's crazy. That's a crazy conspiracy. Well, maybe it is, but look, I think all it did was extend his presidency, because I think he knew they were going to steal it, right? Because that's part of COVID too, is having the mail-in ballots. There was when I was you know, looking online during the election, I saw a lot of shady stuff, and it all got censored and buried by Facebook and Twitter at the time. I don't think Elon had bought it yet. But there was a lot of stuff circulating, a lot of shady stuff. So they did it, right? They stole it. And, you know, there's no way Joe Biden got more votes than Obama and Hillary, right? And, I mean, he got more votes than anybody in history. It's all a lie. But I think he was counting on them to stealing it, because he knew that inflation was going to run rampant even if he was president or not president. So I think he wanted everybody to wake up, right? If people are complacent, living in their lives, everything is fine, there's nothing to think about. But as soon as prices start going up, gas starts going up, war starts escalating, right? Look at Russia invading Ukraine. Look at all that stuff. Look at Israel. Look at all that stuff, right? Look at the withdrawal from Iraq. Look, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, look at the crime. Look at all the people coming over the border, just millions of people, and it's basically killing our resources. I mean, all those people need food, water. They all need jobs, they need money, right? Look at all the taxpayer money going towards that. It's just a bad thing. It's not sustainable. So I think Trump knew that was gonna happen, and I think he wanted it to happen, because that was the only way to prove it to somebody, right? It's like if you're, you know, living with a roommate and you're trying to tell your roommate how bad your neighbor is, and you're like, no, my neighbor's fine, he's fine. No, he's crazy. And the only way to prove it to him is like put cameras up and show him. And then when he comes home, turn the cameras on and you can say, look how crazy he is. Right? He's you know, doing whatever. You know, and then he finally realizes, yeah, you're right. You know, the proof is people can see it. And I think that was the whole thing, right? Is having him come in, be president, right? And then also, you know, they were saying, you know, if Trump lost in 2020, is there going to be a peaceful transfer of power, right? And then you had the whole January 6th thing, but that was, I'm not even going to go to that topic because it's just crazy. But essentially, it was a peaceful transfer of power. But the big thing is when Trump wins this time around, is there going to be a big peaceful transfer of power, right? Are they going to hand it over willingly? Or are they going to, right, basically go into martial law or something crazy like that, right? So I'm hearing that Trump is going to win. It's going to be too big to rig. And then they're gonna basically unleash a cyber attack. And they're also going to have a lot of riots, right? The mainstream media probably will say that Trump lost, right? They're going to say Kamala won, or maybe it won't even be Kamala. Maybe they're going to swipe them out, right? But what does this have to do with crypto? I'll get there in a second. But essentially, you know, they're going to try to rig it as much as possible, but it's going to be too big to rig. So there's going to be a lot of, I think they're going to even try to delay the election as well, right? There's going to be a lot of chaos going on. So, and, you know, people even dressing up as Trump supporters, going out and rioting in the streets. Like, there's a couple different ways I can see it going down. But no matter what, I'm not going to get into all the theories that I think. But whatever happens, all I'm saying is protect your crypto, right? Maybe don't have a lot on the exchange during those times. Maybe, you know, just be cautious. And then also, you know, depending on the outcome, sometimes it's not always what you think, right? Because there's a lot of time in between November, the election day, and actual when, you know, the new president comes in. I think the election is November 10th or something, November 8th. And then the actual swearing in is like January 20th or something. So there's a lot of time in between those two moments. So it could be like, oh, Trump lost and he lost big, you know, they rigged it, right? And then like 2 weeks later, wait a minute, all these votes are coming in, right? Like how they did it the last time, like at the last second, like Trump was going to win. Then all of a sudden the next morning, miraculously, you had like 30,000 extra votes, like per county or something crazy, right? I know I'm exaggerating, but something like that. So that might happen again, where they might declare a winner, crypto dumps, and this is where I'm getting at. You can say, why are you talking about that? What I'm trying to say is, this is all going to relate to the chart here, right? Because if they come out and they say, oh yeah, you know, Kamala wins and crypto dumps, right? Let's say, you know, we make it back to the retracement levels back here in November. You know, and then Kamala wins, and then bam, we start dumping, right? But it's actually a five-way move, and we actually start dumping and dumping and dumping, and then people go, oh, well, you know, sell crypto, it's basically over, right? The bull market, at least. You know, I still think crypto is going to grow regardless, but it's just going to take more of a cycle, right? But what I'm saying is, you know, let's say that, you know, Kamala wins or whatever, and then we start to dump, right? And then, like, you know, 3 weeks later or whatever, then they say, oh, wait, no, you know, they stole the election, they're stealing it, you know, look at all this fraud. Then the Supreme Court comes in, right? That was why it was so important to get the Supreme Court justices too. So anyway, they, you know, that they come in and they say, look at this, it's all this fraud. No, actually Trump won. And then bam, we blast off. So that's where I was getting at. Okay, that was sort of painting a picture to kind of let you know. Or it could happen a different way where they say, oh yeah, Trump wins, and we start going up, right? And then they come out a month later and they say, oh, look at all these votes. We got 10 million more votes that we didn't count, that miraculously just showed up out of thin air. And then, you know, Kamala wins, right? And then we start to dump. And then they say, hell no, it's fraud. And then we go back up. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. But essentially, the moral of the story is fake outs. Just be aware that massive fake outs could happen. Because, you know, it's when we look at the world, it's not always what it seems, right? Up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left, right? It's kind of like a alternate reality, right? I mean, there's could be so many different things that can happen, right? Because again, this is not a fight for the country. I mean, it is, but this is more of a spiritual fight. This is a fight between good and evil. This is a fight between American sovereignty and the deep state. I mean, just look at, and it's not just the United States. When I say that, I'm talking about the whole world. I mean, think about all the protests, like even going into France, right? Remember the yellow vest movement, right? All that stuff. All the people, all the immigrants going into to Europe, and basically crime going up, and inflation and all that stuff, right? All their leaders, right? So there's good ones, there's bad ones, but there's a lot of protest out there. And I mean, if you look at China, you know, there's a lot of protests too, but they try to censor that. So again, this is a fight for our freedom. This is a fight for really the direction of our country. And you know, maybe people might not see it that way, but there's a lot of stuff that's just, you know, just even talk about like Epstein and all that stuff that went on over there, right? I mean, involving, you know, celebrities and politicians. I mean, it's deep, dark stuff, and they don't want that deep, dark stuff coming out, right? That's one of the reasons they killed him. But I think, you know, when you look at human trafficking, you look at drug trafficking, right? That's basically their bread and butter. That's how they continue their deep state operations. So that's another reason they don't want Trump to win, because he cracks down on that. And people wonder to know why. Oh, why is the border open? All these people are pouring in. It's not because they care about those immigrants. It's because, number one, they want to increase the Democrat vote, right? They want to give them driver's licenses. I saw a video just the other day of a driver license place, and there was like 3,000 people outside of that place in line, and they all came from Haiti, like Haitians, and you know, Brazil, different parts of the world, and they're just trying to get driver's license. Why? Right? I mean, obviously they want to skewer the vote. So they want to get as many people in to flip the vote, basically, right? Because immigrants vote blue, they provide them with welfare, whatever, right? So, but I don't think it's going to work. Another reason they want the border open is because of trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking, and drug trafficking, right? That's their bread and butter. They basically, all those people pouring in is just like a mask to protect the smugglers from coming in, right? And I mean, that even goes all the way up to the CIA and things. But anyways, that's my little rant for today. Let's keep moving forward, shall we? And I know a lot of people don't like politics. Look, I don't like politics either. But at the end of the day, crypto is my only chance, and it's probably your only chance too, at becoming something bigger. right? Rather if it's buying your first car, your first house, right? Maybe a new car, maybe retiring, right? Maybe you want to retire, whatever. Um, it's it's our vehicle. It's our golden ticket, and I will be damned if they take that away. I don't think they'll ever take it away, but I think they're going to slow the progression very fast, and they can tax it out of existence too, right? So if they get in, they can say, okay, well, yeah, we won't ban crypto. We'll just put an 80% tax on it. So it makes it basically null and void anyway, right? Because that's the whole point of crypto is the on and off ramps of profit. And they could basically take your profit before you even hit sell, right? So that's the problem. And that's why you'll hear me talk more and more about it, because I think it's very important people know what's going on. And these are just my opinions. So, we'll see. But I'm looking at Fetch here, and I kind of like what I see. We came right back down. I don't like Fetch overall because of how high it went. I mean, it's pretty high, but honestly, it came back down to this area, which is very significant, right? You could see we had this big sort of what am I trying to say? Cup and handle, right? So we had a big cup and handle here, and we basically had the measure move, but then we came back down, and now we're sort of back testing it, and we fell from the top here. This was about 350 or so, all the way down. That was a 80% drop. Okay, so from $3.50 to 70 cents. I mean, that's pretty big. So even if it doesn't break out into new all-time high, I still want to see some kind of retracement back up to here. You could see the gap here. So somewhere up in there, and to me that would be a good trade, and that would be about 130% just on a retracement though, and just even if we got back to the all-time high, you're looking at about 300%. But I'm not so enthralled about that, because when you look at THETA, and the all-time high was like, what, $15? I mean, just to get back to the all-time high on THETA, it's going to be a lot more work, but you're looking at like 1,000%, 1,100%. So when we look at XRP, it's going to be from where we are to $3.30. That's about 470%, right? So it's a little, almost 500% from where we are. So it's we got plenty of percentage to work with here. So going back to Fetch real quick, the reason why I like it here as an interest for dollar cost averaging is because I mean, it's a clear 3, right? We had a 3, or I'm sorry, so it would be W, X, Y, and then you can see X, Z. So it looks like a really solid W, X, Y, X, Z. We have a beautiful channel coming down. We have an impulse. We're overlapping. And Fetch is one of the ones that if we do have it all season, it's been looked, it's AI, all the hype around that stuff. So I think it could be quite interesting. Now, when I take it off log scale, I mean, that thing is huge. Another reason why I like it is because it looks like a really decent falling wedge, right? So if that's a falling wedge, then the target is going to be essentially back up here, about that $3 area. So, you know, that could be, what did I say that was? About 2.5, 3x? Yeah, so about 2.5, 3x, which is, you know, not bad for a decent trade there. So the only thing I don't know for sure is, let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so we had, I like the fact that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had 5, right? Versus being at 1, 2, 3, I would be nervous. This was 4 and 5. Obviously, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We could sweep the low here, but that's why I'm kind of dollar cost averaging in here. We might be a little bit more down, whatever the case may be, but I think overall it's looking pretty decent here for at least a retracement. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work, but you know, we have 5 waves down, and it's looking pretty decent. So anyway, let me move on here. I mean, a lot of them are just like when we look at Matic, right? It's only 3 waves. I need this to go higher. I need a pullback, and I need another wave. I need 5. If we can get 5, that's what we want to look for, right? So let me zoom out here. You know, on one side of it, it kind of looks very bearish because it looks like a descending triangle here, or at least some kind of descending triangle. So, you know, that's a little concerning. So I haven't really been liking Matic as much as I was. We talked about Zcash, SHIB. Did we talk about Zcash here? Yeah, look at that. That thing is pumping. That thing is breaking out right here. So, I mean, it's got a long way to go. Look at that. My question is, yeah, I mean, we're still pumping. It's looking decent. We have, see, this is what we want to see. You can see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So you can see how we had that move, and then we came down. It looked like a running flat. So we had A, B, C, a running flat, and now we're just exploding to the upside. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. I don't know if it'd be good to buy it now. I mean, it's already gone up pretty big, but then again, you know, sometimes crypto just goes crazy. So we'll keep an eye on that. I think the next area of resistance would be about that $49 area, somewhere up there. So that's actually probably where I would imagine it going. Right? Maybe we pull back a little bit, then we pull back up. We kind of make somewhat of a inverse head and shoulders. We'll see. ICP. This thing is crazy. The all-time high was what, like $3,000, and we're sitting here at $7. I don't know much about it, but I hear some people say it's really good, so we'll see. I don't really, I mean, I guess I have 5 waves, but I don't really like it too much as 5. So 1, 2, I guess, yeah, 3, 4, and 5, and then we have an A. We came up for B. This is a flat, and then it looks like 1, 2, 3, or W, X. We have a triangle for wave X, and then a Y. So 3, 3, 3. So it looks complete, and then we have this impulse to the upside. I wish we came back in 3 waves. We came impulsively back. So Um, and it looks like we're struggling a little bit here, so I want to see it get back into the retracement levels fairly soon here. Now this could be 1, 2, 3, and then we have like a fourth wave triangle. We hit the low and then we come back strong. So I think, you know, between now and next week, it's all about building a base and trying to get these 5 waves in here. So what about XRP? I don't think I talked about XRP yet. So XRP, I mean, it looks like a fourth wave. We got 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I really want to see 5. If we get that 5th wave, I'm going to be so happy, because then we can pull back and then we can hopefully moon launch here soon. And I actually had a fractal, you know, somewhat of a fractal, and it kind of reminded me of what XRP did back in the day, when it came up very strong and recovered, and then it kind of, you know, played around a little bit and then it left. So maybe we play around a little bit, hit that 5th wave. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like the 5th was truncated on that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully we get 5. We come back down. We kind of go sideways a little bit and then continue higher. So that's kind of what I would like to see, something similar here. So Solana, I think I check out Litecoin real quick too in a minute. By the way, hit that like button if you can. I'm almost going to that hour mark. So it looks like we have 5, we have 3, and I want to say that's 5, but it doesn't look like it. But essentially we have some kind of flat here. So ABC, and then we have what looks like to be an impulse, maybe a little bit higher, and then I want to see a 3-way pullback, flag out a little bit, you know, basically get the price away from this correction, right? This big dump here, we want to get away from it, and the only way to do that is with time. So, and then continue higher. So when I zoom in on the 4-hour chart, we can see basically just kind of 3 waves here. It doesn't look super good, but it's not super bad either. And a lot of times too, what happens when you get these big dumps is you get these little roundabouts. Oh, okay, yeah. So you get these roundabouts here, and then they kind of go sideways and then they go. So a good example of that is XRP. Let me show you this real quick. Where are you at? So here we go, right here. And that's exactly the, you know, kind of the correction we were playing. How we kind of come up, we bam, we hit the low, and then what do? We only went up in 3. Okay, so all right, yeah, now I know what's going on here. So it looked like, you know, we came up in 3, but actually that's all we got was 3, and then we came back in 3, and then we exploded. So we had this little roundabout here. So we had this big crash, a little roundabout, we went sideways here, and then we shot up, right? So now when we look at, you know, even something like VeChain, just as an example, right? You had this dump, you came down, you took out the low. Maybe we might get a little roundabout here and then continue higher, right? Or we were looking at also Theta Fuel too, right? I won't get into Theta Fuel today, but it's basically the same as XR Theta. Solana. Yeah, I think this has a good potential at kind of rounding out here. So it kind of gives you the impression it's only 3, and it makes you think it's going down, but then it just rounds out and continues higher. So someone asked me to look at Litecoin. So I like Litecoin a lot. I mean, it still looks really good. Look what we have, guys. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have some kind of diagonal here. We have a 5-wave move. And then what do we have? We have an A. We come up for B. And it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. So 1, 2, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. It looks really good, right? So when we look at the C leg, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when we zoom out here, right? I've done whole videos about Litecoin. You know, it's in a huge base. I still think it's rise, crash. We have a retracement that took the top. We came down into reaccumulation. Now we're going sideways. We have a 1 and a 2. This thing could really, really start to rip to the upside. I would probably say between now and the end of the year, or maybe even next spring. You know, it's all going to be dependent on Bitcoin getting that 5th wave. But yeah, when I look at Litecoin, you know, I mean, even if this was not 5, even if it was 3, so let's say this was 3, you would still have 3. So if it's 3 and 3, I would still want to see another 3, or at least, you know, a 5. So a 3, 3, 5. But it isn't. We have 5 and 3. So it looks like a 1 and a 2. So yeah, I'd say Litecoin still is doing what it needs to do. I think maybe one day there will also be a Litecoin ETF. I mean, it's been traded a long time. It's got a lot of history. The network has never failed. It's a solid coin, right? And it's been around a long time. I mean, it's an OG. So I think you know, as time progresses, it's going to be more sought after, I think. So let's see. Let me zoom in a little bit and see what we can find here. So I like this base channel here. I want to see if we can get back above that mean line, that middle line here, right? So, you know, most of the market is the same, where we kind of have this down move. We have a 3-wave shape. I want to see another move to the upside, or I want to start to see this round out, go sideways, and then break out. So something like that, where it basically allows some time to pass. So you have this move up, kind of drizzle down a little bit, then continue higher. So nothing crazy yet. Now, the downside really is that this is an impulse, and this is a 3-way pullback, and now we're going to continue impulsing down. And we're going to know that probably within the next week, because we're going to figure out how fast this moves down, right? Or if it still comes to play. If this gets too big, then it's not going to look like a 1-2 anymore, or whatever this wave is. 1, 2, 1, 2, probably a nest of 1-2s here. But historically, Litecoin has been a horrible investment. I mean, if you look at LTC versus Bitcoin, there's no reason to own Litecoin. I mean, if you were holding Litecoin all through here, you got punished. You were much better off holding Bitcoin. Now, I do think it'll eventually turn around, but, you know, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5. So, yeah, it doesn't look too good. Link, you know, I haven't looked at Link in a long time, and I actually like it because it came back down and it back tested here. That's exactly what we were thinking too. Look at this. Link is very clear to me. We had this Wyckoff accumulation, right? We came down, we had the liquidity grab, we had a 1-2, we had a 3-4-5, and now we have an ABC. And the ABC, or WXY, it back tested the top of this breakout level. So we want to back test it, hold support in here, right, and then continue moving higher. So we'll see how that plays out here. Now we do chain link overall is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this could be A, B, and still we could get C and then go up. So that's always the risk, right? That's always the risk. if this was an ABC like this. So 335. But you know, again, it'll take some big stock market disaster for that to occur. Or what we have here is a rise, crash, retrace. Now we're coming down into reaccumulation. We're going to go sideways here and then eventually break out. Okay, last one, H bar. Yeah, it looks like a 1, 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. So we have a 1, 2, 1, 2. This could be very, very bullish for H bar. I mean, it looks like a 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's all going to be about how this thing, you know, plays out over the next couple weeks here. Looks like we had a 9 there. I'm trying to see if we have any 9s. No. Yeah, I mean, it's still, even though we didn't have it, I mean, we did have a 9 on the last candle, but it's not too perfected. But I do like this 3-wave shape. It came down quite a bit, had a 3-wave shape. We had a 5-wave move and a 3-wave pullback. So I would imagine this is the bottom here. I mean, we're right at the green dot setup trend. Let's look at the 4-hour here. Yeah, so I think, you know, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is bottoming out in here. And that same goes for all of crypto, really. So, you know, if we get another hit to the high, we have some kind of diagonal, wait for a 3-way pullback, maybe that's where you go long. So we'll just have to see. Also kind of similar here with Phantom. It looks like a 1, 2, 1, 2. And Flare kind of looks like it's flagging out here. Maybe we can get a bounce. Shoulder. Inverse head and shoulder. And then also Filecoin. You have a 1, 2, 1, 2. So it you know, they're kind of rhyming here. So I mean, you could say that's a lot of 9s there. Hold on one second. I know I was going to say last one, but actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a 3-wave pullback, and now this is a 1. We're going to get a 2, and then 3, 4, 5. I mean, that could be a big disaster here. So it's really going to depend how this moves up. Does it move up impulsively? Does it move up correctively? Right? Because we could get something catastrophic in Filecoin. But, I mean, you can also say that it's some kind of, you know, bear flag, right? But any way you look at it, I see 5 correction, 5 correction. So it's all gonna be about how it recovers in here, and that goes with all of crypto. So, anyways, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody tuning in. You know, look out for a members video between probably within the next, I want to say, maybe even this weekend. We'll see. Probably within the next 3 to 4 days. If you want to become a member, just click join where the subscribe button is. And it's a good way to support the channel. And I get basically more into the nitty-gritty stuff. So, okay, that'll do it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And if you can, hit that like and hit subscribe if you haven't already. And drop a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's any other coins you want me to take a look at. And I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.